Hard at work, I see. Oi, an unlikely suspect.
G'day guys, Matt from Hal Heavy Duty. So if you're new to the channel, we're an Aussie machine shop that specialises in the drilling industry. We fix all of the gear that drillers break, and we make all of the crazy custom gear these guys need to get the job done. If you want to add an extra shot of machining to your YouTube feed that's a little bit different from the other stuff you're going to see out there, make sure you hit the subscribe button and crank the bell so that you get notified when we upload our weekly video. Anyway, let's get into it. So in today's video, we're building an extra large custom boring bar for our big green Spanish mega bore lathe we call the Hulk. Now this bar is going to be made on 120mm diameter material, that's 4 3/4 inches for my American friends, 900mm long, so just under a meter, and about 3 feet long. It's going to have 2 feet of working distance, so just over 600mm, and it's going to be built very similar in style to our CNC big bar we call the Beast. We'll be using a KM80 head that's got a CNMG tip, because I find these are really good for heavy roughing. The Beast is part of a 3-way set where you've got a drill that's 110mm, the Beast for roughing, and then the Hydra, which we send in to do all the little fine stuff. We are going to be milling off an inside section of this new bar as well, just like we've done on the Beast, and then we're going to plumb the outside rather than try and drill a meter to get through coolant into it. It worked pretty well on the Beast, and just because the lathes are tied up, it's easier for me to throw it in the mill and mill this out and then solder it up. Now this is the tool post that we're going to be building this bar specifically for. It won't be able to fit in the CNC, but we're going to build it in the CNC. So let's go do it. All right, we're off to the mill. We affectionately call this guy Godzilla. It's the biggest mill we've got in the shop. I know there's a lot bigger out there, but this thing's great. A lot of you have asked about it. It's called a quantum mill, and it's good for heavy cuts. Right, off for a quick trip to the boiler bay where they're going to TIG weld the head on for us, and then we'll come back and plumb it up.
Alright. That other one's done. Yep. I'm just watching this one here.
Now we decided to weld it on rather than use the quick change head, which is what these KM heads are designed for. It's just because I'm never going to use anything but a heavy roughing tool this big in our lathe. So we just purpose built this sucker, and that's how it'll stay. We've preheated the bar, and we're going to use the minimal amount of solder possible, just because last time when we built the beast, we way overused it. So I'm going to go the exact opposite direction here, see if it still seals. If it doesn't, I'll just repair it afterwards. Here's a quick size comparison. Standard 40mm boring bar, KM63 bar, 2.5 inch, which we use all the time, we call him Kong. You then got the beast, that's 95mm or 3 3/4, 1.5 feet or 450 of working length. And then you've got this big guy, which is 2 feet of working length, 120mm or 4 3/4, If you haven't seen it yet, the beast has its own video and it is worth watching. This thing absolutely hammers. I don't actually expect the big bar to go as hard as the beast, it's just able to do deeper work. The name that eventually got settled on was Tiny, but there were some really good ones you guys had in the comments. We had Dreadnought, Juggernaut, Big Chungus, Colossus. They were hilarious, but Heath, our machinist that runs the Hulk, wanted the name Tiny, so that's the one that stuck. It kind of suits my sense of humor anyway. But when we're playing with Tiny here, you'll see there is some vibration in some of the clips. That's because we're playing with feeds and speeds, trying to get it right, and it's difficult on the Hulk because it's a fairly old machine to figure out what the feeds are. We ended up getting 4mm cuts and going at a fairly moderate feed, and it cut really nicely. Like towards the end, it was just plowing through it beautifully. And we've sprung a leak. If you stay tuned to the end, I'll show you how we use silver solder to plumb that all back up so that it won't leak anymore, just like the beast.
Off to the CNC.
Yep, go for it.
That big billet then went for a visit to the CNC and became a 1.2 meter, 400 kilo massive drive sub for our mega drill. If you're first time to the channel, we're right in the middle of building a 3 meter drill bit that'll go 250 meters deep for underground mining and ventilation holes. So if you want to see that in action, subscribe to the channel. It is going to be off the charts.
Bite's all right.
Now what I've got to do here is repair, because I tried to use the minimal amount of silver solder when doing this, and this here, he sprung a leak back here. It just didn't seal up properly. With the beast, we put way more in than we should. I let an apprentice do it, and it was questionable quality, but he did his best. We just want it to be neatly filled up with silver solder so that it actually seals all this. Then you plumb him in, and off he goes. What I'm going to do, when you're silver soldering, this has to be heated up to 600 degrees for the silver solder to stick, and then all you've got to do is just gently drip it in, no dramas at all. But if you don't preheat the steel properly, it won't stick, it'll just form into little balls, and it's no good. So we're going to use a heat gun to check the temp. We're going to heat him right up, and then just gently put a little bit of silver solder in here to plumb him all the way. Let's do it. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. If this is your first time here and you want to be part of what we're up to, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, crank the bell, and if you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like because it really helps us grow the channel. And to all of our returning viewers, guys, I appreciate you. I will see you in the comments and see you next week.